Okay, we're in the last unit for this particular unit two. So this is specific to chapter 7, which is about data cleaning. As you can see in unit 2.5, we talked about um, data errors. We call it data dirt, right? We talked about what it is and in what forms you may see it. And in 2.6, we talked about um, how to identify if there is data in a more systematic fashion. And we there in that unit, we learn how to perform big picture data check and a detailed data check, right? Now, in this unit, what we'll do is once you identify the how bad the data is, the errors in the data through big picture and detailed data checks. The next step is to clean the data, and that's what we'll do in this unit. We'll talk about different ways of cleaning data. So in this unit where we'll talk about cleaning data, these are the specifics of it. First, we'll talk about some basic information about data cleaning. Then in the next outcome, we'll talk about how to carve the column. What it basically means is, remember we talked about the run-on data, where there is a lot of information in one column, like the street address, the zip code, the city name, and column carving is basically splitting that one column that has a lot of information into several columns with meaningful information. So that's splitting, basically column carving. Then concatenate to paste option is another thing where what you do is you basically do opposite of column carving. What it is basically after you have split um, one column with lots of information, you selectively combine information to create new columns, like one column with information from these two, maybe in a different direction, in a different way. So you combine column one, two, three, maybe split them first, then combine them in 2-3-1 fashion, or just 2-1. So it's the opposite of carving, like combining columns. Then we'll talk about some specific data tricks, things that will help you play with the Excel file, especially in shaping your data. It is important to understand that when we talk about these things, we'll use Excel, and we'll talk about how to do these things, different cleaning methods, um, by using Excel in a very raw way. But there is another way to clean data, and that is not through Excel. It's an open source feature called OpenRefine. It's very intuitive. I'm gonna show some videos on it, or links to some videos that will show how to use it. So you learn shaping methods or cleaning methods using Excel. Then you'll also be introduced to a more powerful way of cleaning data called OpenRefine. And lastly, we'll also learn about how to extract data from files that are not in CSV or text or Excel formats, specifically when they are in PDF formats. What do you do then? Sometimes you get data in the PDF format. You should be able to convert PDF file format data into text or CSV or Excel format, so you can do the cleaning and eventually analyze the data. So that's what we'll talk about then. And finally, then you'll be provided with an optional practice exercise. So let's get started with some basics of data cleaning in the next slide. Well, data cleaning simply is um, fixing the errors. Um, fixing the data dirt, and we'll talk about how to. We know already how through integrity checks we have learned how to identify errors in the selected data, and if these errors are manageable, then we can clean the data. And in cleaning the data, we will use mostly Excel to clean the data. And specifically there'll be two techniques, and we'll talk about that in the next outcomes. But we'll also talk about the Open Refine service, and you can download that from this particular link. And when it comes to the PDF conversion service that I referred to in the earlier slide, there are two services, and you can download those from these links. One is the Comet Docs, and the other one is Zamzar. And you can download these from these links. There are other data cleaning programs, and we will not cover that in this particular topic, in this particular class. There are more advanced data cleaning programs like the database managers. You might have heard these names, like Microsoft Access or MySQL. There are some specific programming languages that are more advanced in cleaning data, where you manually do with the Excel, and maybe it is somewhat intuitive with the Open Refine, more powerful. These are even more powerful. You can write programs, instructions by using programming languages like Python, Ruby, PHP, Perl. Again, we are not covering this in this class. And there are some companies that provide either general software that they develop either based on these programming languages or their own, um, or they create some specific software specific to the client's needs. Whatever it is, these are not the only programming languages. There are other programming services provided by some companies that is even more powerful sometimes, depending on the needs. So, well, you don't need to learn this, but it's always good to know what there is other than what we will learn in this class. So, yeah, let's move on to the other next outcome. Well, the next outcome for this particular unit is column carving. As we said, it's basically splitting the column into individual data columns. And that's what we'll talk about in the next slide, followed by a short video. Okay, column carving is parsing, decluttering, or splitting one column that has lots of information into individual columns, which you can then combine in a fashion you want. Um, then for to give more information, I'll show you, I'll demonstrate how to declutter, carve a column that is stuffed with a lot of information in it. For that, I want you to download the data file from this particular link, which will take you to this page and to list all the data sets for that particular unit. And I want you to download this particular data set. And once you download that, um, then you can watch the next slide. In the next slide, there will be a video that will walk you through from downloading to accessing to column carving. Okay, have fun. Okay, and now we're going to talk about column carving. Um, So there are two functions, especially we learn um, in this particular unit on cleaning data. One is column carving, the other one is concatenation. And then we'll talk about some few data tricks. Um, Finally, we'll move on to a different resource called Open Refine. First, initially, let's talk about column carving. And within this, what you basically do, what we'll be doing is actually take these stuffed columns and parse them or split them into individual columns. Now, the first thing first, you need to create this data document and put all the information you need, which I suppose I hope you'll do it. I'm not going to show you that because we've already gone through that. What I'm going to do now is direct you to the data set that we'll be using to conduct the analysis or to do the evaluation and cleaning. So let's look at this. I want you to download this data. So I'm clicking on this. The download button is right here, and I'm opening the file, and that will take me to this file right here. Okay. Now let's look at this particular column, C, right? Now this is the particular column. What we need to do now is, if you look at it, this is the information about the dogs, um, um, the address of the dog, the dangerous dogs in the area, the zip code, the description of the dog, the latitude, longitude, location information. And if you look at this column C, the information in here is stuffed together. As you can see, there's like 4 bits of information here. Rex is the name. The other one is the gender, followed by the color and the breed itself. So now our job is to cut this into 4 individual columns. We call that carving or what do you say, parsing. Okay, first what we need to do is, because there are 4 individual bits of information within one column, we need to create 4 columns now. So just click on this, right click on that and insert. It will add 1 column. I'm going to do it again, 2 columns. Do it again, 3 columns. Do it again, 4th column. What I'm going to do is, once you run this parsing formula, it will change the current column. So the best thing to do would be to copy this column, paste it in the new column you just created, and then run the thing on this particular column so that this will be changed along and the additional 3 columns will be added to the columns that are that you just created. Okay, how does it work? Okay, so this is how you'll work. You'll select this column that you want to parse. Okay, remember we are not selecting the first column because there is no data. There is the header. We're just selecting the rest of the column. And then there are tabs here. Do you see that? Select the data tab and select the option that says text to column. Okay, then this is what will appear. Now, if you see, these individual bits of information within this column are separated by commas, right? And you call such delimited option. So it is either separated by commas or tabs. Because it is separated by commas, you're going to use delimited. So specifically, what kind of it is? It is of comma. Usually you see the tab is selected, so unselect that. Usually you'll also see that there are text qualifiers, meaning that these individual bits have semicolons or colons or apostrophes or things like that, which you don't see here. So change that to none. So make sure there is only comma selected here and none is selected here. Then you can see that it's broken down into 4 bits of information. Then click next. And what you see now is that each column is of general type. Change it to text. Select here, change it to text. Select this, change it to text. Select this, change it to text. Then click next. Now what you'll see is that you have 4 different columns, right? And you can give new names now. The first one is name. The second one is the sex. The third one is the color. The fourth one is the breed. Now you can run the pivot table on this and then see and generate a pivot table. If this allows me to do it, um, I'm gonna not select this. I'm just gonna select the breed, put it here, rows, and just like we did before, and it takes the count. So you'll see how many of these dogs are dangerous as a function of the breed. So that's what it is. Okay, sometimes carving or parsing is not sufficient, or you may need to use more tools to actually clean the data. We'll look at one example where we need to use the trim function. And again, whenever you are working on a new data set, make sure you create this data notebook and keep a record of that. I'm going to minimize that and I'll go back to the data set that we'll be using for this particular trim function. So in the general thing, we looked at this particular data set, right? In general carving. For trim function, which is a even more detailed cleaning function, what we'll do is we'll look at this particular data set, which is about the fuel economy of the cars that were produced in 2013 in the United States. So I clicked on that, I downloaded it, and I'm going to click open it. Now for you, maybe you need to go to the download tab and then locate the file, then open it. So I'm going to make it bigger here. Notice that sometimes this gets so small that it's hard to read it in the video. So I'm going to make it a little bigger. Okay, do you see that? I hope you can see it now. Okay, I'm specifically going to a column, AC column. You see that? You see, this particular information, the information in this particular column is stuffed where there are two kinds of information. Uh, how many wheels there are, and whether it's rear or front. So it's a full wheel drive or a two wheel drive. If it is two wheel drive, it's the rear or the front and things like those. You know it. Um, Now we need to parse this. And simple parsing won't be sufficient in this case. The reason is that in the earlier example, the comma was separated by the next information. For instance, Rex, the name of the dog, was followed by comma, and there was no space. Immediately, there was the gender of it. Let's say female, then comma, no space, then the color of it, then comma, then the breed of it. But here you have this extra space, then we need to get rid of this as well, and that's why we need the trim function. We'll do the usual first, which is to parse the column. So you need two data bits, so two columns. So I'm going to add 1, 2. And the next step is we need to copy this. Well, there are several ways you can do it. The simple way would be, I'm just going to do the simple way. Just select this column, copy it, paste it, and get rid of the name, the header. Okay, now we need to parse this, right? So what we need to know now is select this, or you can double click it and it will go all the way to the end of the column. You see that? See, there you go. So all I did is I selected the first cell. Come on. Yeah. So I selected the first cell, right? I'm going to do it again. Then double click at the right bottom, right? Right click. That select the entire column from wherever you've started. Now I need to do the same thing. Data. Then what do I need to do next? Yes, good job. Text to columns. There you go. And we need what? Delimited because they're separated by commas. Next. Perfect. We need commas. It's already selected. There are no quotation marks or qualifiers. We're going to hit next. And we need to make sure that this is text type and select the next one. Change to text type. Finish. Voila, you got your stuff. And this is the, I don't know, whatever name you want to give. You can say drive type and um, the side, front or back or whatever you want to give. Okay. Now if you see here, this has space. You see that? If you want to see what I mean, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Okay. If you want to see this here, there is actually space. And we should not have this space. So for that, what we need to do is we need to run the trim function. Let's look at the time. won't go beyond 5 minutes. I'm going to pause. Okay, so how to do the trim function? So because we are trimming this particular column data set, right, we need to create a new column next to the column that you are trimming. So insert, right? Now you can say trimmed side, right? Just like I'm saying that it's a trimmed column slide. And this particular column is trimmed. So what you need to do is use this formula, equal sign, trim, parenthesis, select this column, close the parenthesis, hit enter. What? So this is what you need to do before you run the trim function, which is select this column and make sure go to the home button and change this to general. That's important. Then use the trim function equals trim parentheses, select the cell, close the parenthesis, hit enter. So you see the space is gone, right? Now you repeat the same for the rest. All you need to do now is copy to the bottom. For that, you need to double click here at the bottom. Do you see that? Right bottom corner. Voila. You see that? So this is how you will trim the data, which is an extension of parsing. So I hope you enjoyed it. Well, now that you know how to parse or split a column into smaller units of information or smaller columns. Now, we'll talk about the opposite, is how to combine columns in a meaningful way to get more desired columns. That's what we'll do in the next slide. It's called concatenate. Okay, so concatenate basically means to combine. So once you have a column that has lots of information in it, you do column carving to split it, right? Now you have individual units and you can combine in a fashion you want. And by using this option in Excel called concatenate, we'll use this particular data set, voter turnout data set, and you can see it's right here. You'll use this particular link to get to this link of data sets and then download this particular data file. Once you download it, then you move on to the next slide. And this short video, I will demonstrate how to concatenate using this particular data set. So have fun. Okay, now we're going to talk about concatenation function, which is combining function or recombining function. For this particular data, for this particular action, we're going to use this particular data set. So I click on this and I've downloaded the data, and I'm going to open the data, and I'm expecting you to do the usual stuff, which I have done, is create this data book. And one another good thing to do is basically save it as a new file. So you have this. I'm gonna say uh, data one. Okay. So I have this. Now this particular data set is specific to voter turnout in in a city. Um, Now the first one is the precinct the area belongs to, and the number of people who registered, number of people who actually voted, and the date. So what we'll concentrate now on is to um, use the information presented here. The date information is presented in 4 digits. Let me make it bigger. Okay. I hope you can see it now. Okay. As you can see, the date information is kind of weird, right? The first four digits resemble the year. The second two numbers are the month, and the last two are um, the day. But we are used to writing that information in this format, right? And how do you convert that information into this information? Well, you can say you can just write it the way I did. Well, for thousands of data points, it's difficult to do it, right? Now we're going to use the parsing first, then concatenation. By parsing, what I mean is you're splitting this one column into three data bits: year, month, and date, then recombine it in a fashion. So let's first talk about parsing, and you already know about the parsing, right? Um, First thing first, you need to copy this to the uh, next column. So I'm going to double click, select one cell, double click, so it will go all the way down. I'm going to say Control C, and I'm going to paste it here, right? And um, and I'm going to use this new data, let me call it, oh, I can just leave it. And now I'm going to use the um, uh, convert to text option, if you remember that. Go to data, use the, where is it? Yes, good job, text to column, right? I forgot to do one thing. Remember, what is that? Yes, need to select the data points in this particular column. So I'm going to double click on this. So it has selected all the data points in this column. I'm going to go to the, where is that? Yep, here you go, text to column, right? It's not delimited now. There is no comma, there is no tab. Instead, it's fixed width, like first four characters, second two characters, and so forth. So I'm going to use this. Next, click on the next option. And now you can create break lines to say how fixed are these. So for this, I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can. Let me pause here for a second to figure out a way that you can see it. Well, what you can do within the uh, voice thread is click on the plus button at the right side. It will zoom in. That's the only way I thought you could do it. Anyways, what you're doing now is you're clicking on at two particular points, like break points. It doesn't matter if you move. You can always move this. Remember, I'm moving one this particular point right after the four digits, like year. I'm gonna clicking again to make it after the month, and you can move this. You can see that, right? So just you can move these things around. So I've divided that into 422 bits of information. Let's click on the next, and you can see that year, right? And very simple. Next thing is to change each column into text type. Select that text type, select that text type, and hit finish. Voila, you got your stuff. This is the year, right? This is the month, and this is the day. Now what do you want? Now we need to create a new column. Let's call it day 2, where it is in a fashion we want, which is month, year, month, day, and year, right? So let's see how to do that. I'm going to pause here for a second to make sure that we have enough time. So let's do the concatenate function. It's the same data file. I maximized, zoomed in, make sure you see what I'm doing here. So it's very simple. All you're doing is you're combining these things in a fashion. What do you want first? Month, right? So what you do here is equal sign, then select this month cell, right? Now use the ampersand to add another cell. What is the next thing you want to add? The day, right? But keep in mind, between the month and the day, you want a forward slash, right? So first I'm going to say month, and means that you're adding something to month, and here you're adding an forward slash. But when you're adding a character like that, you need to provide quotation marks. That's how it knows. When you're not selecting a cell and writing a character, you need to say that it's a text. Let's see what happens. Technically, what you should do now is take the information from F2, which is this cell, which is 11, and you should add forward slash. Let's see what happens. Voila, do you see that? And an ampersand. What goes next? The day, right? So we need to add and to this formula and select this cell to add the date, right? Okay, let's do that. What do you need to, when you're adding a cell or any text function, you have to put ampersand, then date, enter. Do you see that? November 2nd. What do you need next? Well, you need to add another forward sign, right? So, and quotation marks, forward slash, close it. Voila, what do you do next? The day, right? So, and, sorry, and, and you select the date. Oh, sorry, year. That's it. And you follow this, copy this to the end of the column by double clicking here. That's how you do the concatenation, recombination of the information from different cells. Okay, I'm going to pause it or stop it here. Okay, well, so these are two important uh, cleaning techniques that you need to know when it comes to cleaning data. But there are some other data tricks that is always good to have as arsenals uh, under your belt skill set, and these data tricks are specific to different Excel functions. More importantly, how to deal with date formatting. That's what we'll talk about in the next slide. Okay, let's talk about some specific data tricks. And for this one, we'll use the data file disaster declarations .xl. And you can find this data set right here. And you can get to this data set from the same link that I have been referring to in the previous slides. Once you download the file, then we'll talk about some specific Excel tricks specific to formatting dates, how to play with that. Usually, this is one thing that we will encounter, the date formats. We'll talk about different date formats and how to change that. So once you download this particular data set and open it, and then watch the short video in the next slide that will walk you through the process. Let's have some fun. Okay, now we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you a quick data trick um, in Excel specific to using or formatting date format related to the dates. For this, we're going to use the data set, um, let's say disaster declarations. Okay, I'm going to click on that. Let me clean this. Okay, let me try again. Disaster declaration. It's downloading the data set. I'm waiting for it. Okay, so it has downloaded the dataset. I'm opening the dataset now. Now, this particular dataset has information specific to the disasters and when the disasters were declared. We are really interested in this particular column, the date of declaration of the disaster. Now, as you can see, the date is in the month, day, and year format. So this information, you cannot use this column information to kind of summarize and see which month um, uh, are commonly the months, which of the months are most disaster reported months, which days are most common days, if that's of interest to you. So we need to parse this. We need to change the date in a way that would help us declutter this information into month, year, and the day. So that's what we'll do. For that, again, first thing first, you have to create your own data book and save it as something else. So you can always go back to this and save in a place that you put all the information for a particular assignment that you're working on at any given point of time. Um, So I'm creating this for videos. So I'm going to say this, I'm going to save it as data. So the original file is always there, and this is my version of it. Now what you need to do is, because there are 2 bits of data, I'm going to create 3 bits of data. I'm going to create 3 different data columns. Insert once, twice, thrice. So I have 3 data sets. Now what I want is year, month, and not just date. I want day. Um, so the function is very simple. What you need to do is use the Excel's month function, year function. For day, it's slightly different. Um, and first thing first, before you use this function, you need to make sure that each column is of a general type. If you don't do that, then it won't take the formula. So save it. And the formula is pretty simple. Equals, you want year, right? Just type year. Then select parentheses and select the cell. Close the parentheses, hit enter. See, it has extracted year from this. I'm going to do it again. Equal sign, year, parentheses, select the cell, close the parentheses, hit enter. Now to copy this throughout the column, I'm going to double click here. That's it. You see that? Now the next thing is same thing for the month. Let's do it without changing it to the general and see what happens. Equals month, select this, close it. Do you see that? It didn't do anything, right? It actually didn't extract the month. So I'm going to delete it and make sure select the column and change that to general. Although it says general, it's not necessarily all the cells are of the general type. So now save it and put the formula in. Equal sign, month, select the cell from which you're extracting, close the parenthesis, hit enter. You see that? 5th month, so phi indicates the month. Now double click and you're copying this to the rest of the cells in the column. Now here's the thing. If you just want the day, which is like 2, you can use the same formula. But we want not just the date, but the day. Now this is where you'll use a different kind of formula. And so what you do, now again, first you need to make sure it is general, save it, then eh, then equals, then put the formula text, parentheses, select the cell, comma. This is where you have to put in quotation marks D, 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 where you're asking the day in full form. Then close the parentheses, hit enter. It says Saturday. So 2nd of May 1953 was a Saturday. I'm going to do it again. Equals. I'm putting in caps so you can see it. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Equals, right? Text, open parentheses, select the cell, comma, then put the format date, which is quotation marks, open, D, D, I'm gonna D, 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 close the quotation mark, close the parentheses, and hit enter. Oops, something happened. I'm gonna check that. Uh, let's do it again. Text, parentheses, year, comma, quotation mark, D, 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 close the parenthesis, close the quotation mark, close the parenthesis, hit enter. Saturday. And you're going to copy this to the rest of the column, the rest of the cells in the column. So that's how you do use the data format in Excel sheet. Okay, so far we looked at cleaning data, and particularly we looked at different ways of cleaning data in specifically by using Excel. by ourselves without using any other tools. Um, Now we'll talk about power scrubbing by using a tool um, called OpenRefine, and give you some more information about this OpenRefine in the next slide. Okay, so far we looked at how to manually do using an Excel file the cleaning of data. Um, Here we'll talk about OpenRefine, a powerful online tool that's free, open source. Um, and this basically talks about how to standardize data entries. If you remember from the earlier unit where we talked about um, most common kind of data errors or data dirts come from data entry where there is no consistency in the entry of the information. Like once you see road as RD, the other times you'll see being spelled out, or where there are simple typos. Um, so one way to standardize these entries is to use the OpenRefine as a resource that would give you more powerful tool. You can do that with Excel. OpenRefine would give you more powerful, easier ways of managing um, uh, such shaping. So I want you to download this particular free resource and by using this link right here. And after going to this link, there is a download link right there. Download it on your computer. And then there are like few videos, very short videos, 2 to 3 minute short, very short videos. I want you to watch those videos. And once you're done with that, then move on to the next slide where I'll give you a short, very short demonstration of using OpenRefine. Okay, so in this particular demonstration video, we're going to look at OpenRefine, which is a more powerful tool to clean the data when compared to using Excel manually. Um, so go to the openrefine.org site and download the version, um, download the particular version you want to. So if you click on this, right, you will see different versions of it. Windows, I use the Mac one, and the instructions are pretty clear. Once you download, if it's a Mac, you will see this particular icon. Um, and I'm gonna quit it now just so show you how what happens when. And once it's downloaded, what you do is then you can go back to the applications folder, or if you pinned it on your taskbar, you can click on it, and the moment when you click on it, right, this is what will happen. I think this same thing happens in Windows. So if you see a new window pops up or a new tab pops up with this particular address. So once that's done, then you can start using the OpenRefine. I'm going to go to the data set that we'll be using this OpenRefine to clean the data. So it's right here. It's the same dataset page, and we're gonna use the contributions dataset. So I just downloaded it, and it's right here, and I know it's in the downloaded folder. Now I'm going to pull this particular file, right, from this particular tab, which is the OpenRefine, um, the app tab. So what you do now is you basically pull that file. Okay, and here it is. I just downloaded it and I click next. There you go. And now what you're gonna do is give a name to this project. Okay, and let's call it election contribution. Okay, then I'll create a project. But before you create the project, make sure you look at these options: store blank rows, store blank cells as nulls, and let's see if there are any other options. Excel file, and you are declicking this ignore first, this particular option, because the first row is the header row. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on the create projects tab right here button. You see that right here? Okay. Now what it does is now it creates this um, file. It will only show you 10 rows in that file. Now it's in the system now. You can play with it. It has like 19,866 rows. And it has columns and whatnot. We are particularly interested in trying to find a specific column, and that's what we'll work on. Let's call it the CD column. Okay, so go to the CD column and click on facets, text facets. So what it does now, okay, it seems like it's a cleaned version of it. So I'll probably have to find another one. Let's see. So what you do now is we're gonna try to find if there are any typos in the way the city name is entered. So we're gonna go to the city column and click on face edit, and it's like running a pivot table where you're creating what the unique values are in this column and how often they occur. So we're gonna, and it's called facet. So click on text facet, and then you'll see I ran it twice, I guess. Okay, as you can see, um, you can make it bigger, and this is the example that is discussed in the book. So I'm gonna go to that St. Louis, and the St. Louis is has many spelling errors. You see that it's written in several different ways. So now one thing you can do is manually change each one of those, and it will take time forever. So a better option would be to look at the cluster. What the cluster does is it will group all similar spelled but not exactly spelled things put together. So you see there are 2,400 57 rows, which are clustered into 13 different spelling versions of St. Louis. So at this point, what you can do is you can merge all these and give a new name to the values in this particular column. So I'm going to click on this merge. It will change all these to only one kind and give a right name. Let's say St. Louis. I hope the spelling is correct. Then all you need to do then is uh, merge selected and close. Now this will change. If you wanna um, look at this, it will change everything to St. Louis, and you won't see any. Let's see if we can um, cluster it and see. So there are no St. Louis. There is only one version of St. Louis now. If you can go through that. Wherever it is. So that's how you can clean the data. If you want to double check, what you can do is you can export this particular Excel file in the Excel format or in the XLSX format. Once it's exported, then you can look at the data file and you'll see how it's changed. So if you look at it, this is just like now the new data format. The new formatted file is here. It's cleaner. Now you can use this for evaluation, which we'll talk about in the next column. So that's about using data refine. There are other videos in the on the website of Data Refine. Please watch those videos. How to explore data, clean and transform data, and reconcile and match data. So these are three important short videos, 4 or 5 minute videos. Please watch those. Okay, that's all with the Open Refine. Okay, the last thing then we'll talk about would be about extracting data from PDFs, and that's what we'll do in the next slide. When you identify and locate the data and download it, you'd be surprised sometimes that data is not always available in the format we want. More often than not, you will encounter data in the PDF format. So you should be able to convert this PDF format data into more manageable data format like Excel or CSV or .text file. For that, we'll be using these two services. One is the Comet Docs, and the other one is Zamzar or Zamzar. I want you to use these links, which will take you to the specific sites, and there you can run these data extracting, uh, um, learn the techniques. And what I'll do is you open these links and move on to the next slide. In that, I'll give you a very brief demonstration of how to do that. Okay, in this demonstration video, we're going to talk about how to extract data from PDF files. We're going to use two uh, different sites, CometDocs and Zamzar. So for that, you need the data file. The data file is here. It's a PDF file. You can see I've already downloaded it, so I'm not wait for this. And now I'll first use the um, Comet Docs site to pull this just downloaded PDF file and show you how to convert into Excel file. Now, Comet.com, I think, wants you to create an account. Maybe there is a way out where you don't need to, but I did it because I have to record this video. So see how this is downloaded, and you can save it, and it will goes to my computer, and it's in the download folder. I'm saving it. I can pull it now. Okay. Now, what do you do in the Comet Docs? You need to use this particular thing. Here is where you upload the file, the PDF file that you need to convert, and you use the convert option, and then you select the type of conversion you want. So I'm going to upload the file, and this is the PDF file I just downloaded, and then I'm going to move this file, click on it, select that, then move it to drag it to the convert. So we are converting this PDF file to Excel, and just click on the convert option. I've already done that for practice, but once it's complete, you will see something like this stable button where I think still it's downloading or converting. Once that's finished, then well, I'm just gonna click on that, and I will just click on this and click OK to download. And here is a link to download, and I have the Excel sheet. Let's see how it looks. See that? This is how it looks. Let's see how the actual file looks. Do you see that? This is how the actual one looks. And this is how the Excel version looks. So that's the conversion. You can do the same thing. I've just downloaded the file, right? I'm going to use the same PDF file by using a different site called Zamzar or Zamzar.com. So here there was no need for me to create an account. So you can just go to Zamzar.com, add file, convert option, then get your file. So click on add files, select the PDF file you downloaded from the site, open it, right? Here is a file. Then you're going to select the conversion type you want, and we want the XLSX. Then click on convert now, as simple as that. And it's still converting. And once it's done, then it shows the download option. Click on the download option, and voila, you got your Excel file. And it's pretty much same like the other one we got from the other side. Let's see. You see that? So this is a simple demonstration video on how to convert data that's embedded in the PDF file into an Excel file. Most of the agencies prefer to sometimes put their data in the PDF format, so it's important we know how to convert that. Have fun. Well, this brings us to the last outcome, which is the application, which will give you more information about the practice assignment or exercise, which is optional. But before that, let me tell you what we did in this particular unit is we have learned how to identify dirt or errors in the data, how to run checks to make sure the data is bad but not worse, so that you can clean it. Then we talked about how to clean the data. Now, the next step is once you have this clean data, the next step is any guesses? Yes, to analyze the data. So, in the next unit, unit 3, we'll talk about different ways of analyzing data. That's when we'll talk about the meat. Okay, as a practice exercise, which is optional, I want you to use the OpenRefine resource to further clean the data of the campaign contribution data file. Um, Especially clean the spellings of at least 10 cities. Use all of the algorithms available under clustering, and then write a brief description of which one worked the best and why you think it did. Okay, I hope you're having fun. I am.